Daddy's home, boys.
What if I told you that one of the most iconic teen comedies of the 1980s, the movie that gave us surfers, malls, and slang, was almost never made? Fast Times at Ridgemont High wasn't just a movie. It was a time capsule of early 80s youth culture. Fast food jobs, awkward crushes, and the magic of mixtapes.
Kiss me. You won't regret.
But behind that sunny California vibe was chaos, controversy, and a few secrets that would make even Mr. Hand raise an eyebrow.
Wait, you hear the bell? What's up? We're here. Oh, come on.
So grab your orange vest, turn up that cassette player, and let's count down 20 shocking facts about Fast Times at Ridgemont High you didn't know, from the bizarre to the unbelievable.
Seen the new Playboy?
Good?
Oh, Derek's tits.
All right.
1. It was almost rated X. Let's start with the biggest bombshell. Fast Times nearly got slapped with an X rating. Yep, the same rating used for adult films at the time. The MPAA thought the high school themes and a few spicy scenes went too far for mainstream audiences. Director Amy Heckerling and writer Cameron Crowe fought hard to keep it at R, trimming just enough to pass. Imagine if it had been rated X, the movie probably never would have seen the inside of a mall theater. The film that became the voice of 80s youth almost got silenced before it even hit the screen.
By the time he was 22, his book agent suggested the idea of going back to high school undercover to learn what was going on with the youth of the day.
2. Cameron Crowe went undercover in high school. Before Fast Times was a movie, it was a real undercover story. Screenwriter Cameron Crowe, who was 22 but looked 17, actually enrolled at Claremont High School in San Diego pretending to be a student. He spent an entire semester taking notes on teen life, everything from cafeteria drama to mall culture. That experience became his book Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which the movie was based on. So yes, every awkward conversation, every bad date, every pizza delivery in class, it probably really happened.
Wait a minute, there's no birthday party for you here.
3. Sean Penn refused to break character. Sean Penn didn't just play Jeff Spicoli, he became him. During production, Penn stayed in character the entire time. He insisted everyone call him Spicoli, even off camera. He even left phone messages as Spicoli, confusing hotel staff and other cast members. By the end of filming, the crew literally forgot his real name. That's method acting, dude. Fun fact, Penn actually rolled into set in a VW van every day just to stay in vibe. Total commitment or total chaos.
Tired of dealing with incompetence.
4. Nicolas Cage lied about his age. Before he was a household name, Nicolas Cage, then Nicholas Coppola, auditioned for Brad Hamilton, the part that went to Judge Reinhold. But here's the twist. Cage lied about his age, saying he was 18 when he was only 17. When producers found out, union rules prevented them from hiring him for a bigger role. He ended up as a background character instead of Fry Cook. To make matters worse, he asked to be credited as Nicolas Cage so people wouldn't know he was Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. Talk about hiding your Hollywood DNA.
Mark Ratner doesn't like me. Mark Ratner doesn't like you. You're crazy. No, he shows absolutely no interest in me.
5. Jennifer Jason Leigh had never been on a date. Jennifer Jason Leigh was only 19 when she played Stacey Hamilton, and she'd never actually been on a date in real life. So, her performance as a shy teenager figuring out romance wasn't acting. It was genuine awkwardness caught on camera. Director Amy Heckerling later said Leigh's innocence gave the film its emotional heart. That realism helped Fast Times stand out from other teen comedies that were all punchlines and no heart.
Order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude.
6. The studio wanted to cut Spicoli. Believe it or not, Universal Pictures didn't like Jeff Spicoli. They thought he was too weird and distracted from the main story. Executives pushed to cut his scenes or tone him down, but Cameron Crowe and Amy Heckerling fought to keep him, arguing that Spicoli was the voice of carefree rebellion. Good thing they won, because without Spicoli, Fast Times wouldn't have half its charm or quotable lines.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Yeah, you're welcome, executives.
Aloha. My name is Mr. Hand.
7. The Real. Mr. Hand hated his portrayal, the strict, no-nonsense teacher. Mr. Hand was inspired by a real teacher from Cameron Crowe's undercover year, and when that teacher saw the movie, he wasn't amused. He reportedly called it an insult to education. Crowe later admitted the character was exaggerated, but defended him as every student's worst nightmare, and every teacher's secret alter ego. Funny how one grumpy teacher became an 80s legend.
First of all, Rat, you never let on how much you like a girl.
8. They filmed in a real mall that was still open. Ridgemont Mall was real, the Sherman Oaks Galleria in Los Angeles. It was one of the most famous malls in the 80s, featured later in Commando and Terminator 2. Here's the twist. While filming, the mall stayed open to shoppers. So imagine buying Orange Julius while Sean Penn skated by yelling, "Awesome!" Locals wandered into scenes, kids gawked from the food court, and somehow it all worked. That chaotic energy, totally authentic. 9. Phoebe Cates' famous scene. Took 15 takes. You probably know that iconic pool scene. What you might not know is it took 15 takes to get right, and everyone on set was awkward about it. Phoebe Cates said it was one of the most uncomfortable days of filming, but she handled it with professionalism. That scene later became one of the most parodied moments in movie history, referenced everywhere from Family Guy to Stranger Things.
Order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude.
10. A real-life pizza delivery inspired the famous scene. That legendary moment when Spicoli orders a pizza right into Mr. Hand's classroom? Believe it or not, it was based on something that really happened during Cameron Crowe's undercover high school stint. One kid at Ridgemont High actually ordered pizza mid-class just to prove he could get away with it. Crowe thought it was the perfect metaphor for teenage rebellion. Harmless, ridiculous, and hilarious. It became one of the movie's most quoted scenes, and decades later, it still feels totally Spicoli. And get this, Sean Penn really did eat that entire pizza during filming. The guy was method down to the last slice.
Must be somebody's baby. She's got to be somebody's baby.
11. The soundtrack. Almost didn't happen. The soundtrack is one of the best parts of Fast Times, full of 80s legends like the Go-Go's, Jackson Browne, and Tom Petty. But getting those songs wasn't easy. The studio didn't want to pay for expensive licensing. Music supervisor Jimmy Iovine? Yes, the Jimmy Iovine called in favors from artists he knew. Without him, we wouldn't have that iconic opening set to We Got the Beat. It's wild to think one man's mixtape changed how 80s teen movies sounded.
You're fired. I'm very sorry, sir.
12. Judge Reinhold got fired from his job before filming. Before Fast Times, Judge Reinhold was working at a frozen yogurt shop in Los Angeles. When he told his boss he needed time off to film a movie, they laughed and fired him. A few months later, Reinhold was on the big screen as Brad Hamilton. Poetic justice, right? The yogurt shop's loss became one of the most relatable characters in teen movie history.
Amy Heckerling is one of the few female directors working regularly in mainstream Hollywood today. She burst onto the scene with the 1982 teen classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
13. Amy Heckerling was one of the few female directors in Hollywood. In 1982, female directors in Hollywood were rare. Amy Heckerling was only in her 20s and had to fight to be taken seriously. Studio executives constantly second-guessed her decisions, but she stood her ground, balancing humor and heart in ways that male directors weren't doing at the time. She went on to direct Clueless, proving she didn't just define one decade of teen culture, she defined two. 14. The film was banned in some schools. After its release, Fast Times was banned or restricted in several U.S. school districts for indecent content. Teachers even warned students not to see it. Naturally, that made everyone want to see it even more, and that rebellious streak is exactly what made it a cult classic, the film every parent warned you about but every teen secretly loved.
Jefferson's gonna really make Lincoln pay for this. He's gonna beat the
That guy's gonna totally destroy them.
15. The cast was full of future stars. Sean Penn, Forrest Whitaker, Nicolas Cage, Eric Stoltz, Anthony Edwards, all in one movie. Most of them had small parts but later became massive stars. It's like the Avengers of 80s cinema before anyone knew their names. Even Forrest Whitaker's role as a football player got him noticed by casting directors, leading to his breakout in Platoon. Not bad for a guy who had just a few lines.
This is not the best breakfast I ever ate, and I'd like my money back.
16. The fast food scenes were too real. The fast food scenes at All American Burger were filmed in an actual burger joint that smelled terrible under the hot lights. The grease, the heat, and the long hours made everyone sick. Sean Penn reportedly refused to eat anything cooked on set. Ironically, those grimy, sweaty scenes perfectly captured the misery of teenage jobs everywhere. Authentic suffering for cinematic realism.
He's gonna kill you and he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill us.
Relax. All right?
17. Cameron Crowe's sister didn't believe him. When Crowe told his sister he was going undercover in high school to write a book, she thought he was joking. She only believed him when the book was published and the movie was being made. Imagine finding out your brother secretly became a high schooler again, and then turned your teenage world into a Hollywood movie.
Uno dinero.
What have you got, Buckman?
18. A young Eric Stoltz almost quit acting. Eric Stoltz, who played one of Spicoli's surfer buddies, felt his scenes were pointless and nearly quit acting afterward. But a few years later, he landed major roles in Mask and Some Kind of Wonderful. Turns out Fast Times was his surfboard to success. Sometimes small roles lead to big waves.
Mr. Spicoli, you're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
19. It was shot in just 40 days. The entire movie was filmed in only 40 days. That's lightning speed for a feature. The small budget and tight schedule forced everyone to work nonstop. The cast joked that they lived more in those 6 weeks than most people do in a year. That urgency gave Fast Times its raw, live-wire energy. You can feel it in every scene.
Woke up in a great mood. I don't know what.
20. It bombed, then became a classic. When it first came out, critics were brutal. Some called it aimless and vulgar. The box office was decent, but it wasn't a blockbuster. Then, something unexpected happened. The movie exploded on home video and cable TV. Teenagers watched it over and over, memorizing every line. By the late 80s, it was the defining movie of high school rebellion. It wasn't just about growing up, it was about surviving awkwardness, chasing dreams, and finding your identity in a world that didn't quite get you. And there you have it, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The movie that started slow, faced controversy, and ended up defining a generation. From undercover writers to mall madness to legends in the making, it's proof that sometimes the weirdest productions make the most timeless stories. If you liked this video and it brought back memories, you'll love this next one too.
It's a way of looking at that wave and saying, hey, bud, let's party.